Michael.
Hi. I want to ask 3 questions. I'll just offer them. First, you mentioned working on your desired ignorance and desired arrogance. Could you speak on that and maybe developing a desire for an attitude that makes me want to do that and how you did it? That's one.
You want some inspiration, Michael, do you?
You mentioned sleep state, and it sounds like some people are open to that. So how can we learn more in our sleep state and put aside our defenses? It seems like a good way to bypass mine.
Your resistance in your awake state.
Yes.
Well, you're not going to like my answer, but yeah.
No,
What's your third question?
Similar to we've asked, do you see we have an attitude towards immigrants, towards illegals, aliens, and it's...
Even those words, you feel the weight of those words.
And it's not and God doesn't see borders, and we're all equal. And do you see this flowing from your sin, like an extension of what you experienced and how it's multiplied?
Sure. Well, let's start with the third question and work backwards. Obviously, I was a man trying to draw lines on the land. When I came to Mary this morning, I said to her, well, I'm from this place here, but I don't even want to I'll just show you on the map, I don't even want to call it what I tried to create, because obviously that sin was inside of me, the desire for dominion, the desire for control. It was a lot about control. I felt that if we had more control over lines and borders and people, that there would be more power and safety and order. And all of these were sins that I perpetuated on earth. They didn't start with me, of course, but I certainly perpetuated them. And certainly they live on. They live on. And as you say, now there's a lot of weight of emotion against people who come from just the other side of a line that's been marked out. And of course, people gather on either side as well, trying to make themselves similar through their values and their beliefs to the people who reside in their region, and different from people on the other side of that line. And those differences are often perpetuated and desired out of fear and rage, that multi-generational rage about being either rejected or feeling entitled. All of these injuries that I've discussed in certain ways this morning about entitlement and power. A lot of these things have created in others a feeling of rejection, and when that is not dealt with, then there becomes rage and indignation and injustice, and it creates further divisions. When each side doesn't deal with their sin, then the people on the other side of the borders, wherever those borders are, not just these borders that we're talking about today, then perpetuate their own sins, and there becomes changes in what you now call culture, which a lot of cultural differences are based in the rage of wanting to fit, or being told you don't fit, or being told that you must be a certain way in order to fit. And all of these are sins and take each person away from the knowledge that they are equal and are a child of God, essentially. So that's a brief answer to your third question. It's also a very good question. Maybe I need to write a book. Maybe I need to find another medium and write a book about this stuff. Yeah. You mentioned about developing sincerity and coming from a place of desired ignorance, desired arrogance, and coming to a place of sincerity, and how one does that, or how I did that, and the role of the sleep state. Well, the sleep state, you're only going to learn as much in your sleep state as you really desire to learn in your awake state, or you're only going to recollect it anyway. And so dealing with the desire for ignorance and the desire for arrogance, in my personal experience and in the experience of people that I now counsel, it first starts with recognizing those desires, experiencing them, understanding that they're a part of you, seeing where they exist, and measuring that desire against the reality that you live in. And there's a lot of pain in that for a lot of people, what there was for me. And but until one does that, there's no way to really drive the engine in the opposite direction towards sincerity. One of the basic principles of God's laws is that we must first experience where we are at the start in order to change direction. We can't change direction just in terms of spiritually without first understanding the state we're in, the city we're in, if you like, the soul condition we're in, and coming to feel the pain of it. And so that's the biggest advice I can give you is rather than trying to skip the pain that you're currently in as a result of these desires, feel the pain you're in and relate it to your beliefs and your desires. Make that connection, and then you start to have a motivation to change your desires to become more sincere.
Yeah, the question is driven by the desire to avoid your pain. And there are no magical solutions to that, as he explained through his experience. He had to come to the stage where he was wanting to embrace his own pain. It's sort of, each of you, in a way, are faced with two fundamental decisions, really. One decision is, do I embrace my pain, yes or no? That's one decision. Most of you have yet to make that decision. Do I embrace my pain, yes or no? Pain being caused by the sin. If you embrace your pain, you'll start to see your sins. This is what happened to Gus. The second question is only happening after the first. So the first question is, do I embrace my pain, yes or no? The second question is, once the first question is resolved and you emotionally want to embrace your pain, then the second question becomes valid. And the second question is, how fast do I want to do it? Do I want to do it slow or fast? Yeah. That's it. They are the two fundamental questions most people will face in their lives when it comes to dealing with their sin.
Yeah. And may I add another couple of questions?
Yeah.
Jesus,
Yeah.
No, of course I don't want to disagree with you. They're the fundamental questions. But another important question that I've had to answer many times is, do I want a truth external to my own set of beliefs?
Yes. That's all part of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Facing the pain is going to have to embrace the truth external to yourself. So the problem many of you face is that you like the truth you think you're in. So when you like your own truth, you're not open to hearing God's. So when it comes to pain, the two decisions are what I just said. When it comes to truth, well, that's going to happen before you embrace the pain even. What is the truth about your pain? Are you going to have to feel it or not? Most of you still believe you don't have to. You don't have to, so therefore you don't want to, and therefore you won't embrace it. You won't make the decision yes or no about my pain, because you're going, it's not true, I don't have to deal with it. And unfortunately, in US society, your whole society, as Gus has already pointed out to you, is really based around the philosophy that comfort is the goal. You should not have to experience anything else other than comfort all your life. That means that you're not going to hear an uncomfortable truth. You're not going to work through an uncomfortable emotion, right, while those emotions and thoughts exist.
Yeah, it's so important.
Over here we are now, so yes.
Hi, Gus. I'm wondering more about how you spend your time in the spirit life. You explained how it was in the first sphere. Wondering more about how it was different in the second, and now what things you did there versus now how you're spending your time in the third sphere.
Sure. I would divide my time really between, there's probably three major areas. And again, I'm going to explain them as in terms of desires, and that the desires affect the physical interactions that I have and the physical experiences I have. So my first desire is to continue in my repentance process. And so that involves a lot of time at home. I have a nicer home now, much nicer, but I do spend a lot of time in quiet reflection, in prayer, and I'm given a lot of assistance in that process to see where I'm still out of harmony with God's love and God's laws. And so that's a very home-based activity. And in the second, from the top of the first sphere all the way to where I am now in the top of the third sphere, that's always been really like a home process. And my home has improved through that time. It's now quite beautiful. I have a lovely view over like a hillside down to that stream that I love, and nearby to a forest. But I am inside a lot doing that. The second main desire I have is to serve others, which I've talked about as well. And that activity takes me to the first sphere a lot. And so I spend a lot of time in the hells, speaking with people, trying to have those kind of conversations that I mentioned to you that people had with me about just encouraging reflection on one's life on earth, and also visiting the earth plane with people sometimes to show them the effects of their corrupt ambitions and how that's playing out on the earth. So I do spend a lot of time there. That's a part of my life. And the third major desire I have is to aspire for what could be better, what is to come, to find my other half. I'm learning about that now, and also to how to have better relationships, how to love, how to have loving cities and communities. One day maybe I'll be given that responsibility. I don't have that now, but it is something that I like to visit places and see how things are run and governed and how people are interacting with each other, because I feel this desire in me to perfect myself in love in those ways. So it's really those three. Of course I have other desires, but they really fall within those three categories, and they very much affect the way that I spend my time. I would say that's the case for everyone here, that our global desires govern the lifestyle that we lead. So I travel a lot, sometimes within the third sphere, and a large majority of the time in the lower spheres, talking with people a lot, and then I have at least a third of my time at home in prayer and reflection and working on the things that sometimes my experiences with the people that I'm helping help me to see where sin still exists within myself, and I can return home and feel about those things and deal with those things. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And follow up on that, are you guiding anyone on earth? And how much time, doesn't sound like you spend most of your time in the spirit life. How much time do you actually spend helping people on earth?
I would say that I'm mainly helping people who've entered the spirit life now. So you could call me a guide, but I'm not assigned to one person. I usually have a group of 5 to 8 men that I'm assisting at any one time based on their desire. And I often visit the earth plane in that process, but I'm not guiding anyone currently on the earth at the moment.
Thank you.
Okay, Mandy.
Hi, Gus. Just a question on when you were talking about feeling the pain and experiencing the sensations of pain of your sin when you were getting shown, but you weren't yet feeling sorrow.
Yes.
Can you say something about getting from that place to the place where you did feel sorrow for your sin?
Yeah. That involved a lot of the point I mentioned just earlier, seeking the truth about my beliefs. So I had to engage. So I was feeling in that process that I mentioned is really like compensation, which is that the law operates to give you the painful effect of how you've acted and what your beliefs and motivations and desires have created in terms of action, and the effect that that's had on other people. It wasn't until I was willing to really feel the wrongness of my beliefs, and that took a number of things. There was external help to help me become aware that, my beliefs had created these actions and that there was a problem in my beliefs. But it also took the development of sincerity, which unfortunately just took pain. You know, I was in a lot of pain, and over time, when you're in enough pain and you begin to think, well, maybe there's another reason for this pain than what I'm, you know, maybe there's something I could do that would end this pain. And that creates an opening where you begin to consider, wow, maybe it's something that is in me, maybe it's a belief, maybe it's something that I can change. So does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.